me, I work with Sami. I'm based in Tokyo office. He's based in Singapore. What we also do is we work together with developers like you or designers and help developers to build great apps, right? And today I'm going to talk about Firebase. How many people knows Firebase? Heard about Firebase before? How many people already have Firebase account? Okay. How many people produce app or deploy app on top of Firebase? Okay. So I hope this session is meaningful. So before talking about detail of Firebase, technical issue. Okay, no worries. So Firebase was founded in San Francisco a couple years ago and joined Google in 2014. And we are now working closely with Firebase team, and especially Firebase is very useful platform for startups. So how many people is running startups here or working at startups? Startups. Great. Because in some companies or startups, you don't have enough people to take care of server-side stuff, right? One engineer have to do Android, web, and server-side. It's nowadays like developers have to learn so many stuffs, and that's why Firebase is useful. And right now, this is a diagram of what developer has to do in develop app. Developer has to know about database, right? And developer have to know the server, like MySQL, MongoDB, and the file server, and stuff like that. And if you are creating app which requires login, then you have to be responsible for securing user data. Like you don't want to lose your customer's email address or password, right? And then we need lots of client side. So client is not partner. It means like desktop or laptop, Android, iOS. So in the reality, lots of server is connecting each other in a real world. So for example, like I'm building one application. This server is for security user data. This is file server. This is let's say application server. This is file server, and all the servers are connecting each other by API. And these are really, really confusing and actually take lots of time for developer to create the application. And also nowadays, as you can see, lots of customers or users are using Android, iPhone, and laptop or desktop to access your service. And users expect they work in every single devices. And this is a nightmare. This is very, very hard for a developer to build. Like exactly have a good user experience on different devices, right? So, but reality is, this is very sad thing. Users actually don't care about your database. They don't care about how much time you spend on your database side, because user only sees the applications and the UI. So there's so many effort you have to do, but 50%, like half of your effort, users do not recognize what's going on. So there's a reason. And user expect application to be very fast, and it works offline, and it works on any platform like iOS, Android, web. And users do not like to write lots of like log in, get emails back, and like click and goes back. It's users want much simple login process or sign up process. So that's why we are providing a service called Firebase. So Firebase, developers can focus on creating apps, and you don't have to worry about anything about backend stuff. So what does this mean? So Firebase, we offer database and simple authentication and security and hosting. And you don't need to know, like you don't have to manage these data by yourselves from now on by using Firebase. So I'll talk a bit more detail about each of these ones. So our core message is forget about server, and it runs on web, iOS, Android. So let's start from database. Database side, we are using NoSQL. It's part of a SQL data store. And I think we had a great session just before this about REST and JSON. And we're using REST and JSON as well. So all the data is stored as a JSON, and it's wrapped by a REST API, and we're actually getting back the JSON data and update the clients. So this is no real-time database. So what's happening is, okay, I'm looking for restaurant or something, right? I'm looking for restaurant, and I click search, and something comes back, right? I have to trigger, and nothing changed. Nothing changed when I'm on the last page. Okay, there's like 50 restaurants, and I want to look for, let's say, Vietnam restaurant, and I have to put Vietnam restaurant and send them back again. And that's how it works. That's in regular life. It's user have to click something, and the database responds something. And this is natural, but but this is something different from the Firebase. So if users walks around, and if there's a list in nearest Vietnam restaurant, then the data just pops up to you. So it's synchronized with data, and you don't have to like refresh the browser. You don't have to refresh mobile apps again. So that's we call our real-time database. Whenever data is updated on the Firebase side, it's automatically updated to your client applications, like your Android apps, automatically updates. So, and Firebase, we support not only Android, but also web and iOS as well. And we have SDKs for each platform. So you can use this SDK and simply integrate this real-time data to your applications. So storing data, I think you can now see this few lines of code, but it's only thing I want you to remember is just you have to write 2 lines of code to store data, and you only have to put your Firebase address here and make sure where you want to store your database. Data. And sync data is very similar to you have to add value for it. And offline. So nowadays, people are using smartphones. I'm using smartphones when I'm going to my work, and I'm on the bus, and let's say I'm reading news, and I go down to the tunnels, right? And I get offline, and sometimes like my application just doesn't do anything, and that's very sad experience for users. So creating apps offline, works on offline, is very important nowadays because users expect apps works all the times. So Firebase supports 2 ways of offline support. One is we call intermediate offline, which is very short time offline. Just like I mentioned, I was riding a bus go down the tunnel, or I was going down to a metro station, and one time I go down the station, there's offline, right? Those are like, let's say like 2 minutes, 3 minutes offline. And on those cases, Firebase clients store local cache of your data, and when users get online again, it's automatically resync. Okay. But sometimes there's like longer time you get offline. For example, I came from Japan. Japan, it takes about 5 hours by airplane. So 5 hours offline is not short. In those cases, of course, Firebase will take care of your data, and it works as it is. But once you get online again, we have to resync, and we have to relaunch that. Then all the data get back to you right away. And to support offline is you have to write just one line of code. It's basically covered by SDKs. So I won't go deeper here right now, but you can see how Swift and Java code samples here. So the concept of Firebase is we want to support as many platforms as possible. So we don't just create SDK for Android, but we also create SDK for web and iOS. So if you're focusing on web developing, or maybe iOS developing, you still can use Firebase. Like Google is not just providing for Android users; they're providing for every developer using trying to create great apps. So we have database, and we have like offline support, and users wants to log in most cases, right? You want to get user data, like if you have, like as I mentioned, like restaurant search, you want users to log in. So users, once they're logging, they can see the history of the restaurant they searched, and they can go back again, or they can review, they can write message and stuff like that. So how many people knows what kind of authentication there, like very typical authentications? Does anyone have any idea? So yeah, I heard a couple words saying, first, email and password. This is most common, right? If you want to log into Google's Gmail, you have to put your Google's Google's account and password, and that's the most common way for authenticate users. But Google also provide Google sign-in. So if you have Gmail account, certain services who support Google login, you can just click Google login, and you don't have to write password and everything again. You can log into the service. And the other is Twitter. Some application requires Twitter login, right? Or Facebook. Facebook login is very common for gaming, I think, because you want to play with your friends, and once you log in with Facebook, you see who's on the scoreboard with all your friends. So Facebook login is very popular authentication as well. And on the some of the services like Stack Overflow, or those services who's focusing on engineers, they require GitHub login. And so GitHub login, so data syncs with your GitHub repository, and your GitHub account. So if you're communicating with developers, the other developer knows, oh, this person's GitHub repository is this one. So and it's very useful for having GitHub account between developer communities. And last is anonymous. So sometimes you don't want to log in. That's natural, and you just want to see some data there, or you just write anonymous comment. So that's part of authentication as well. And Firebase support part of this authentication, and all you need is write a few lines of code, and you can put Google login, Facebook login, Twitter login, and anonymous login, and last but not least, the email and password login as well. Okay. So, if you have service who has login features, then you start being responsible for securing your customers, right? You don't want your users' data get lost with email and password, and that's like a horrible nightmare. You don't want to see it. So the security is very important once you start getting user data, and that's a very big issue for privacy as well. So there are several ways for Firebase to control user data. First, it's very open. Like everyone can write or can read users' data. So this is like open to everything. But you don't want this for the security reasons. So let's say, if I have a chat application, I want people to read, but I don't want people to write, because I don't want people to write like some spam URL, and I don't want people to click on those. And the other option is, okay, I want people to comment. Like let's say, I want users can read all the my chats or forums, but I only want users to write, like non-logging user, to write like small comments or just like or like I don't like. So you want like anonymous users to do something, but you don't want like users to comment in specific thread. So in this case, you can control permissions with Firebase dashboards. And the last thing, I think this is most useful one, is, okay, let's say only users who logged in can write comments. So in that case, you know which person is writing comments and which person might be writing spams, and you can detect who is good citizen in your service, and you can also protect your user database as well. And last thing is hosting. So you build an app, real-time data, it works offline, and it's secure to for your users. So Firebase, we provide hosting service as well. And Firebase hosting, it works on command line. So all you need is 2 lines of code. If you go to terminal, or if you go to on a bash, just write Firebase initialize and select which Firebase project you want to deploy, and Firebase deploy. And that's the only things you need. Then it's automatically upload to your Firebase project. So in that way, you don't need like FTP server, or you don't need to manually upload or each files. And of course, if you see some bugs, or if you want to revert back, you can always revert back to your local server and close the public domain. And hosting, it's production grade, so you can deploy your final project, not just the example mock-up project. And you can also upload like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which doesn't do any dynamic stuff. You can also upload those images file or HTML, CSS as well. And free SSL. So you know how HTTPS, Google is always pushing for security of these protocols, and we provide free SSL for each application. So you can create application using HTTPS and secure services. And CDN, we're working with the CDN, which is Content Delivery Network. So let's say if the server is if Firebase server is only located in US, in United States, it takes long time for getting the image and coming back, right? So we work with global CDN network. So actually, these files are cached in closest CDN. And once you deploy, it caches everywhere on global. So anyone who is accessing your service do not have to wait for long wait times. So I would like to show a little demo here, but I might fail because demo is always tricky. And okay, this is I'm connecting with Firebase. So I have Firebase application here, and there's another Android application. So let's say I have two Android devices, okay? And as you can see, this is Nexus 5X and working Marshmallow. So this is OS 6. And you can see this is KitKat with Nexus 4. So you can see this is completely different devices. So we have two Android devices with both connecting to opening Firebase application. See? As I write here, there's a couple letters show up, right? I update here and it updates there. Yeah, so I'm writing GDG on my application here, and it automatically real-time syncs. See, I didn't refresh anything, but it updates automatically. So if I update here, it goes to Firebase, and Firebase in real-time database updates the other person's device. So this is very useful if I'm chatting with other person. You don't want to reload to read someone else's message every time, right? So these are the one of the benefits you can get for using Firebase. And you don't require very expensive equipment, or you don't have to purchase like very high-end server or install very complex server-side software to create these types of real-time communications. So there's many use cases for Firebase. And I'd like to introduce a couple great use cases done by the other companies. Oh, and before going about the use cases, I would like to talk about what kind of support the Firebase offers. I said about web, I said Android, I said iOS, but there's so many frameworks on top of the web or Android or iOS. So one thing is, how many people here are web developers? Okay, some. So we support Firebase, offshore support Backbone.js, one of the MVC framework for JavaScript, and Ember.js and React.js. And last is we support Angular.js. So if you're already working on project using Angular or React.js, which is very common and very popular web framework nowadays, you can use Firebase libraries for it. And the one of the example is Angular Fire is a library for implementing Angular project with Firebase very easily. And the other is GeoFire. GeoFire is geolocation, open source geolocation libraries for iOS, web, and Android. And you can always integrate them to Firebase, and you can also use these geolocation data as well. And Firebase is a platform for developers. Like we're not, so there's many Google's products. Let's say Google Maps. Google Maps are, I think majority of people are using Google Maps as a consumer. And of course Google Maps provide API. So some developers use Google Maps. But 100% of Firebase users are developers. So developers are our main customer. Of course, we have free plan, and you can use for free. But developers are the people we would love to work with for Firebase platform. So the most important thing for Firebase is, or developer, is we have enough documents or not, right? So we are investing lots to. So we have all the developer docs and samples for web, iOS, Android, and REST for APIs and security, hosting, and open dataset. And we also provide support for each of them. So if you go to like Android, Quick Start, we are providing several examples for how to create Android apps using Firebase as a backend. So this, as you might realize, this presentation is created on the web, and this is actually using Firebase on the backend. So if you see here number of registered developers, we have over 380,000 registered developers on Firebase. And if you register now, this is Firebase, so it actually, I don't refresh, but actually number is going to go up. So if someone wants to try, you can just register Firebase, and hopefully this 362 comes up to 363. It did. So, okay, anyway, and we have over 1 million current users on Firebase sites. So there's over 1 million users are already logged in or using Firebase. And Firebase joined Google in October 2014. And as I mentioned in the beginning, our developer relations team is working very, very closely with Firebase team. And because we're both have same vision, helping developers life easier. And we want developers to focus on creating high quality apps. Yeah, they did. See? 363. I think someone from this room. Thank you. Firebase introduction. So who is using Firebase, right? Do you know Twitch? Twitch TV? Yeah, I think it used to be Justin TV and changed the name to Twitch. It's one of the game live streaming platform. It's actually using Firebase, not everything on their service. But they're using Firebase to notify users when real-time streams go live. So, go live. And the other one is CBS. CBS use chat for live streaming as well. So if you already have service and if you want some feature, you want to have like a real-time like chatting features, or you want to push notification to your users, there's a use case for Firebase as well. So last thing is we want you to focus on your app, creating apps, not wasting your time too much on your time on figuring out the server-side stuff. Of course, server-side is very important. Google provide Google Cloud Platform, but Firebase is where you want to focus on client side and you don't want to spend too much time on the server side. So we want to, as Sami and we mentioned, we want to help developer success and focus the time on creating great apps in Vietnam, and we're happy to support. And of course, Firebase is open for developers in Vietnam, and we'd like to see great success apps developed on top of Firebase. And so, just wrap up, Firebase, we main 4 features is we have real-time database, and we support security, and we have several options of user login and sign in, and we also have hosting features. Okay, thank you very much. This is the introduction. So I think we have a few minutes before tea break. So before jumping into Colas,
And now we have a clean Android project. So first step we are going to do from here is connecting Android Studio to Firebase. The Firebase application you just registered. So in order to do this, open the Gradle file in Android Studio. Here is a Gradle file, and here is build Gradle. And in here, you can add dependencies. Inside the Gradle file, you add 2 lines of this Gradle, SDKs. And I have to tell you a trick. Oops. So it's not really a bug, but one thing to remember is there are newer version of Firebase UI, because this document was created a few months ago. So we've been updated some of the libraries. So the latest version, I recommend you to use the latest version, and this will be the latest version. So instead of having 2.5.0, it's 2.5.2. It's actually latest version. So when you install dependency Firebase clients Android, instead of 2.5.0, 2.5.2 is the latest one. And sometimes you get notice from a Gradle file that hey, you have newer version of Android SDK, but these are for the first party ones. So if I'm using Firebase libraries, actually Android Studio sometimes do not tell you the alert. So if it's like a GMS core, it tells you alert, but for the Firebase ones it doesn't. So it's always good to check what the latest Firebase UI dependencies are. And once you finish this, just click Sync Now on the right. So it's Gradle actually sync with the new dependency you wrote on this code. And also add this packaging options inside Gradle file as well. So just copy this. And you'll see build types here, and under build types, just add, add this package options as well, and sync down. And this is it for, I think this is it for Gradle file. So now Gradle file knows, okay, this Android Studio wants to work with Firebase UI clients, and this project wants to work with Firebase UI as well. And since this project is this Android application connected to Firebase, so Firebase is .com on the web, right? So you have to make sure this application have access to those public URLs. So in manifesto file, under manifesto XML is located inside here. Where is it? Oh, sorry. Under application folder, there's a manifesto file XML here, and you'll see manifest file like this. And you have to add user permission that Android is accessing to internet. So just add line of this line of manifest inside this manifest XML. There you go. Like this. So now you write this application is going to access to internet, which is Firebase.com. It can access to the Firebase. Okay. The next step is please go to main activity Java, which is locating inside Java file under app directory. Here, app and Java, and inside Java there's main activity Java. And now we have to import the package we install in Gradle file. So I lost my internet connection. I think it's okay for working with so it's import com dot Firebase client and Firebase. Here you go. So import Firebase client to main activity Java. So make your Java file now can access to Firebase SDKs. So first thing, the Java code. First step is to set initial connection between code and Firebase backend. So add this Firebase set Android context right before end of onCreate content. So where is that? Let me check. Okay, this is better. So add set Android context after onCreate method and add Firebase class with your app name.com. You have to decline the Firebase as a private class. So let's do this part. Oops. finish, your code looks like this. So you have this is the main package name, and you import app compat activity Android OS bundle, which comes with default when you start Android Studio. So first thing we did was add Firebase client class. Import Firebase client libraries. Then we create Firebase class inside main activity. And inside onCreate method, add Firebase set Android context this, and at the end of this onCreate method, import the class we created above. And here we have to declare which Firebase app you want to connect to from Android. So in order to do that, going to firebase.com and okay, I'm trying to get my internet access. So I think I'm struggling with Wi-Fi too. Well, so the thing here is, you put your Firebase apps URL here. So then this Android Studio, Android application knows where to connect to. So for mine, it should be chat.vn Takuo is an application I registered, created on Firebase. So right now it's https chat.vn-takuo.firebase.io.com. But if you want the custom domain, like if you have your own domain, of course you can register https like takuo.com, and Android Studio can connect to those projects created in a Firebase. Okay, thank you. So you can see it here. If you go to Firebase Manage dashboard, chat.vn-takuo.firebase.io.com is the one I created. So please go to the firebase.com site and check what is your Firebase database URL is, and input those URL to Android Studio. But the thing is, it's weird. That's in Firebase site, it says IO is upper letters, but it doesn't have the upper letter because this is just URL. So just change before Firebase IO. So just add these line of code. And this is also setup required for this step. And we're moving forward to next step. So next step is send a message. So this send a message is your Android application send a message to Firebase. That's the first step. But you don't get anything back for the first part. So first of all, go to a main activity main XML in your project and add edit text and button inside linear layout. So where you can input text and button says send. So just copy if you want. I think I might find okay. Yep. So once you add linear layout inside relative layout in your activity main XML, add 2 lines of code. First of all, final edit text edit and adding buttons to main activity Java. Because without doing that, there's inside the layout, there's edit text and buttons, but it actually doesn't do anything. So you have to add these 2 lines of code in your main activity Java file. Okay. But this is the first time you probably get error from Under Studio, like this. The red error saying like this. So when you find this kind of simple like red syntax, which is very common in Under Studio when you work, and if you touch, it says, oh, it's missing classes, I have to import something. So in this case, just click, the shortcut is Alt and Enter for Macintosh. So I did Alt Enter, and what happened is I instantly import Android widget button and Android widget text, edit text, which was required to use these classes. So just to let know what's happening, so now after these steps, it looks like my application looks like this. Have my application name, and you have text edit on the bottom and send buttons on the bottom. So if I write hello and send, nothing happens, right? But this is okay because this is just the beginning. So if you are curious if you're following the collabs or not, once you finish adding text edit and send buttons, I recommend you to open the emulator. And if you don't see this screen, there might be something missing on the activity main XML or somewhere. So please take a time and open your emulator and check if you see this kind of your app name with text and send button. So if you have any issues, like please raise hand. There's number of volunteers will help. You don't have to ask questions or anything. Just raise hand and this is the collabs and we're gonna work closely with you.
Anybody have any problems? Guys, any problems?
Besides Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi issues always happen. So that's too common question.
That's okay, guys. Anybody have any problem? Okay. Takuo, somebody import the Firebase package, getting compiling error. I think it's about, they don't have, this is the Cradle. The download is correctly. Because you don't import Firebase. You import from Firebase. Nhưng mấy bạn mà cái phần import mà có lỗi màu đỏ đỏ có thể là mấy bạn cái phần video mấy bạn chưa có bỏ vô mà khi download tới cái đó thì nó chưa có cái file đó thì nó không import được. Coi lại trong cái phần là livestream đó có download
tạo lại ghét lại đi để bán đi
I think most of people got this screen. So we'll start moving forward.